You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another business episode of Ask Drone U. My name is Paul.
And I'm Rob. And you're listening to episode number 369. Thank you very much for being with us.
You know, Rob, it's a beautiful day outside.
It actually is it's a beautiful week. We're like high 80s, not much
nice.
wind.
It's real Albuquerque weather.
The monsoons have started, although we haven't seen much right here in the middle of Albuquerque, but hopefully soon.
Well, you know, it was windy today, Rob, and I just got this thought in my mind.
What about?
What's the best way to start an LLC?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
You know, it was just, I saw a squirrel running by, and it had a flag, coming out of the tail, and it was like, start your business now.
I think that it's a really great idea to be thinking about starting your business. And how are you going to go about doing that?
You know, it's funny. There was actually another podcast, Millennial is the podcast, and she did an entire episode on how to start an LLC. And I'm not really sure that there was any useful or meaningful information. It was just very entertaining. And it was entertaining. I'm going to give her that. She did a great job.
Yeah.
You know, lots of nice little background sound effects. And I called my mentor and bring, bring, bring. Like you can actually hear the phone,
Yeah,
but like
that's
no
cool.
real useful information about how to get an LLC. What LLC should you get? Why does that matter?
All those kinds of
Issues.
Gotcha. Cool. Really quick, just tell people, because I think this is the last day, maybe, I don't know, of the Drone U sale.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention it. As you guys know, new law is here, the drone law, the 107, 14 CFR 107, and that's going to really allow a lot of people to enter the drone market. And a lot of people are going to enter, and a lot of people are going to fall off. So how are you going to ensure your success? Well, I think you can do that with the Drone U community. Why? Because you're going to get awesome classes. You're going to learn how to fly like a boss. We've got even new classes coming out to this day. But more so, what you have is a community of people who are like-minded, just like you, who are fighting the same tasks and taking care of the same type of work, figuring out efficiencies and workflows.
And helping each other.
It's true. And, even yesterday we had someone who said that they've been doing a lot of inspections on big, what are they called?
Wind turbines?
Wind turbines. And they were explaining to our other members how they picked up those jobs. And they pay really well. So anyway, Cam, congrats for that. That's awesome.
Absolutely. It's very cool.
But I will say, you can get so much information. It's hard to really even kind of discuss all of the information that you can get on that site. But if you're looking for a succinct place to get the information that you want to power your business forward, there isn't a better place to go than the Drone U community. Check out droneusales.com. Again, droneusales.com. And again, as Rob said, it is 25% off.
That's right.
And that's actually kind of why we're doing this little business series. We're kind of talking about, getting your business up and running, what you need to do, what you should think about, the people you should hire, the people you should fire, Donald Trump. It's just, you got to get used to that. Have you been practicing your fired face? I've been practicing it.
Who are you going to fire?
I don't know. I'm not going to tell you who I'm going to fire. I'm just going to fire someone in the next few weeks.
Somebody that you, never mind. Go
Anyway,
ahead. Let me see your fired face.
All right. Ready? You're fired. What did you think? Do you think that they would believe me?
I think you need some work. I think they'd...
A little bit more
I don't think they'd believe
anger?
you. They'd say, that's funny.
All right. Actually, I want to give a business tip and trick here.
Okay.
One of the biggest things I see in drone pilots, I love you guys, you really need to get a bigger backbone. Why do I say that? There are a lot of clients, especially in the real estate industry, that are going to be difficult to work with. And one of the things that I find a lot of people don't really learn until they're a few years into business is that you can be selective on your clients. You can say no to people because in the long run, if you're dealing with a jerk, it's going to be, the work is going to be more difficult. It's probably going to be more time consuming. There's probably going to be more issues. all in all, it's just not going to be fun.
And that's true with employees too.
Yeah.
The adage, hire slow, fire fast, that is so true. Truer words have never been spoken. And
You're fired.
Oh
I'm
gosh. Finally.
Finally, he says. Oh, man. I just opened up
About
a can
time.
of worms there.
All right.
But it's so true. It's so true, though, guys. You either charge them the jerk fee, which is at least 40% increase, or you just say no. And I'm being 100% honest here. You're going to get clients who are going to suck to work with. Don't work with them. This is a job. You're probably already working a 9 to 5 if you're watching this, and you're probably planning on leaving that to do your drone business. Look, you're kind of probably want to do this for fun. It's something you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Why ruin it? Life is too short. If it's one thing I've learned growing up, it's that you can do whatever you set your mind to, but it's going to take a boatload of work to be able to do that. So,
Absolutely.
if you have the grit, though, you can do it, as Angela Duckworth would say.
That's what I was thinking.
Anyways, let's get into today's question.
Hey guys, my name is Luke. I just watched a video on how wind affects your footage, and I wanted to ask, especially Rob, what's the best way to file an LLC and get it right the first time? I'm looking at structuring pretty soon here for my business, actually now, and what should I be looking at? What kind of things should I be thinking of? Who should I be going to get it done right the first time? Thanks.
I was just sitting there in the grass. Wind was just striking my hair, my golden locks.
My hair.
And I just thought to myself, how should I form my business? And that's when a bird flew by me. And I was all, I'm going to ask Rob and Paul. So I did.
Yeah. It's as good a time as any.
Just reminiscing, Rob. That's all.
Yeah, no, definitely. Luke, thank you for the question.
No,
It's a good question.
we really do. It's just funny when, I do this all the time, so that's why I'm laughing because I'm half-heartedly making fun of myself.
Right.
But all the time, squirrel. I'm always diverging, switch tracking from one topic to another. So when Luke was switch tracking from the wind to LLC, it just made me laugh.
I love it. No, it's great. It's great. I mean, he's probably just got a lot going on his mind and trying to get the business going
I
and
think
thinking
we
about all
do.
these things.
It's so exciting, right? I mean,
It is.
just when you get a new drone, it's so exciting. And you just have to remember to kind of tone that back and really focus on, again, just like Luke said, doing it right the first time.
Yeah.
Because as you guys know with drones, if you get too excited, you just take it out of the box, it could run right into your garage door. Like that guy from Las Vegas and his Inspire 1. You know what I'm talking about.
Or the story that we just recently heard about somebody that's kind of a friend of Drone U and they just had a flyaway, right? I mean, you just sit there and watch it go by.
Well, see, you know what? I want to say something really quick. A friend of Drone U, because if he had actually gone through our classes, he would know how to stop a flyaway. Because we have had
Well, that's
multiple
possibly true.
students stop flyaways. So yes, he's a friend of Drone U,
But he's not a member.
but he's
of
not a
Drone U.
member of Drone U. There are benefits to membership, like knowing how to stop a flyaway.
Anyways, I feel bad for the guy because that sucks. But
and you feel helpless too.
oh yeah.
I mean, like I would probably cry and then drink myself to sleep. So-
Oh no. So you're looking forward to your flyaway?
No. That's why I know how to stop one.
Oh gosh. All right. So getting into Luke's question.
Can't go to the bar.
Getting a business going, creating an entity. I think most of us realize that an LLC is probably how most folks are going to go.
Well, you can go C Corp, S Corp. You could do sole proprietor, which
You
is...
can do more of a formal partnership. There's all variations of partnerships. Probably most folks are not going to use technically partnerships.
Yes, but if you have an LLC partnership, normally the way that you're taxed is via partnership. So it just kind of depends on how you categorize or subcategorize yourself.
Absolutely. So here's the thing, Luke. The question that you asked, while it's...
Hear that little southern accent coming out?
Yeah, I heard that. I don't know where that came from. Anyways,
I'm going to keep doing this.
it's a really good question. The thing is it's an in-depth answer that is required, and I don't think we're going to be able to go into the kind of depth that we need to go into, or that you're going to ultimately need. But we can give you some tips.
Okay, so first let's talk about what needs to go in an LLC. When we're deciding what is the recommended entity establishment. Let's just say, Luke, is a freelancer. Luke is like most of the guys in our group where they're starting their own business.
Right.
So let's just take that kind of the ideology and the mentality that we already know very well. What are we going to be setting up?
All right. So one thing that people do is they operate as sole proprietors, which simply means you don't have an entity. You have not set up an LLC or a corporation of any kind. And by the way, a corporation is different from a limited liability company, technically. So just make
How
sure
so?
you understand that. It just technically speaking, an LLC is not a corporation as it relates to regulatory bodies and how they're recognized, I guess is the only way I know how to answer that quickly and succinctly. The reason that you don't want to stay a sole proprietor in most cases is that as a business, and particularly in a drone business, I guess, but any business, you're going to start to accumulate assets, right? You're going to have drones, you're going to have batteries, you're going to have all kinds of stuff. And if you grow, hopefully you're going to have cash, and then you're going to have investments. I'm just kidding. But you're going to go on, and you're going to create assets. You want those assets in an entity whereby if something happens personally in terms of somebody needs to come get money from you because you didn't pay bills or whatever, they can't get your business assets because they're protected by being in that entity.
Oh.
So it's a corporate shield is what they call it, right? Something like, thank you for the sound effects and for the...
Oh, you know.
That's good stuff.
I throw down.
So anyways, I'm really trying to be succinct here, guys, and because Paul got on to me for being too wordy in the last podcast.
No, I'm just here to help provide backup assistance.
Yes, you are. I know
musically.
you are. I'm kidding. So anyways, you want to get it right the first time. I know that's part of your question. Absolutely, that's the way you should be thinking about this. Most likely an LLC. So one of the things people wonder about is, should I do an LLC by myself, right? Because LLCs were originally set up to be partnerships. They were never set up. That was not. That's right.
Really?
There's a lot to think about. As a single member LLC, the IRS calls, you know what they call that?
What?
It's a quiz question.
Fail.
Sort of. They call that a disregarded entity. And so what that means is that even though you have this entity, because you're single member LLC, they don't even recognize it. That's been changing relatively recently. And by the way, disclaimer, I am not an attorney. I do not play one on TV or on a podcast. You have got to be aware of that and check with, ultimately, your own professional advisors when you're actually setting this stuff up. Just want you to be aware of...
Do you want me to do the TV version of that?
Please.
Rob is not a lawyer, and so please don't think he's a lawyer, and don't use anything that he says as legal advice. Okay, thanks.
Perfect. There you go. What he said. But think about that, because literally some folks have started a business, and maybe you've got a friend or a cousin, and you can literally give them 1 or 2% of your LLC, and you're no longer a single member LLC. If you use your spouse, there is some risk that, because you're married, right, and so you're one. Anyways, they, being the IRS, that's right, thank you very much, may still consider you a single member LLC. A lot of this is so dependent on case law, on the IRS and what they like and what they don't like in a given scenario, et cetera, et cetera. You got to talk about these kinds of issues, and ultimately you got to get some sort of counsel before you set this all up.
Yeah, because you could have tax incentives, tax liabilities. For example, some states have tax on internet-made revenue. Some states do not. New Mexico has very specific provisions that say, some type of filming is taxable, some type of film production is not taxable.
Right.
And we live in a state where unless they very specifically state that you're exempt from tax, then you have to pay some sort of GRT or gross receipts tax.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's actually astonishing though. Our top 5 industries have more tax exemptions than anything else, and you really wonder why when most of our income from the state comes from those top 5 industries. But just wondering, politics.
Yeah, let's go to the roundhouse.
Something to think about, millennials, when you get
Have a
older.
chat.
Don't vote for the people who have been in office forever.
Yeah, there's something to say for fresh blood, absolutely. So one of the questions that we get about this as well, Luke, is can I do this myself? I will tell you that there are things like Legalzoom, and I think they make it pretty easy to set an LLC up. but you're still going to have to pay them. Honestly, in New Mexico, at least, we go to the website of the New Mexico
We
regulation.
just got that though. Like that's 2 weeks old.
What is?
The website that you can actually set your LLC up on in New Mexico.
No. But you can just go to the Public Regulation Commission website and print off the documents. It's 2 pages, maybe 3 pages. You send in your $50 fee with these 2 forms, and within a couple of weeks, you have your LLC set up.
Voila!
And so you really don't need to pay somebody to do that part of it. Where it comes up to a need of hiring somebody for help, if you're going to have partners in particular, you're going to want what's called an operating agreement if you're an LLC. And that operating agreement is going to sort of outline legally how you guys all interact in that business. So, for example, if you have to put more money into the business, how does that work? If somebody wants to get out of the business, how does that work? How does the company get valued if somebody wants to leave, if somebody passes away, God forbid? How is the entity going to be taxed? All those kinds of issues come out in the operating agreement. And Luke, that's where you want to get the most help, is setting up that operating agreement, particularly if you actually do have partners. A couple of things you want to make sure you think about when you're setting up your business.
Hold on 1 second. Before you get into that, so Legalzoom, do you think it's a good option or no? Just real short, real simple, because they put the law on your side.
Well, if you put it that way. Yeah, I think
No,
it's
that's their slogan.
I know it is. I'm with you. Of course. Yeah, I think it's a decent option. But if you're
You're saying it's easier to just go do it yourself.
Personally, I think so. But obviously I'm more comfortable with that. So if you're not comfortable with that, then LegalZoom's probably a decent option.
So now, what are we putting into this document? Sorry, I didn't want to stop your flow, but I just wanted people to get an idea of, very succinctly,
Well, I already kind of went into what's going to go into the operating agreement. There's
Yeah.
a lot of things that dictate how that business is run from a legal tax standpoint. If you're going to want to talk to somebody, generally an attorney will do that for you. Might work with a CPA or an accountant in conjunction to make that happen. Again, we're getting a little bit more in depth with these kinds of things. Kind of depends on how big your business is going to be.
Well, I think one of the questions actually that I wanted to ask you, I was actually going to ask Sam to record the question to put it in the queue, is what is the proper way to hire an employee? Because it's not just hiring someone. You can do a contractor basis, which is a very simple way to do it. And then the contractor, though, is liable for the tax on the money that they accrue. But, if you're hiring an actual employee, like you've got to pay, there's tax on employment. There's tax on employing people. Like, what is it?
Well, there's FICA and Medicare tax. It's the employer share that you have to pay for somebody.
Gotcha.
Right?
But also, isn't there, what is it called? Workers' comp insurance.
There is workers' comp insurance, which is a legal requirement that you pay.
And also, you have to have all that OSHA stuff on the wall, right?
Yeah, you got to have all the posters on the wall. Yes.
I'm just saying, like,
posted somewhere conspicuously.
You know this because there's a room behind this wall with all that stuff in it. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And my hunch is that most of the people that we're talking to here probably are not in that boat where they have an office and they have a lot of that stuff.
My point in asking it was that outsourcing is so simple. And I think in today's day and age where it's a simple line item where it's a business-to-business transaction, I think it really keeps it as simple as possible. Mm-hmm. That being said, if you are a drone business and you're trying to hire editors, whether it's photo or video, you're trying to get stuff done for narrations, whatever it is, outsource. I think you're going to find it much, much easier unless you've got a really great intern who can fly and film and is smart and has his head on straight and willing to work hard. And
do you know of any?
No.
Okay. We'll keep looking.
I'm kidding, Sam.
No, that's absolutely true. I mean, you're probably hopefully going to reach a point where you have enough work that having somebody on your staff for those kinds of things would make more sense from a cost perspective, for example. But outsourcing is a fantastic way to get things going, and we still outsource a lot of what we do.
A lot.
So it could be something that you do indefinitely. But a couple of things you want to make sure you're thinking about, Luke. Of course, you're going to set your LLC up. You're going to talk to somebody about the operating agreement. You're going to really think about whether you should do a single member LLC. And In most cases, you're probably going to be okay doing that. Just be aware of what those risks are. And by the way, one of the major risks is that by being a disregarded entity, possibly that protection that the LLC is designed to afford you might be completely lost. That's the significant part of that question. Obviously, you're going to need to get ID numbers from the IRS.
Very easy.
It is very easy. Again, you can go right online and do that. Most likely your state has the same kind of thing. You're going to need a state ID as well. You're then also going to have to get a business license located wherever, generally in the city or the municipality that you work in. You're also going to, if your state has trademarks, you might want to start doing those if you're going to use a DBA. Some states require that you register that. New Mexico doesn't, but your state might, so you want to look into whether that's an issue for you. Insurance. You definitely want to get your insurance from day one. If anybody tells you you don't need insurance, they're crazy, particularly in this litigious society that we work in. Just ask Paul and his dad.
You know,
Right?
I was in a lawsuit for more years than I attended school.
You were literally in a lawsuit?
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
From the age of 2 to 14.
Very interesting.
So I think, no, K through 12, it's almost right there.
Wow.
If we don't count college, then yeah.
That's too bad.
So
Other things that you want to think about.
BZ still owes me money too.
Keep amazing records, Luke. Set these things up front. Again, we talked about this in the last podcast. Keep your business activity, expenditures, revenues separate from your personal. As soon as you start commingling those, especially if you are a single member LLC, say that 5 times fast, you're basically going to lose all protections that were potentially there. So
I should change
don't
things.
commingle. You should change things. And I know that's hard. I know that people just think, oh, I'll just pay for lunch out of my business, or I'm going to buy this camera out of my, or I'm going to take this trip and I'm just going to use my business account to pay for it because that's where the money is. And they don't want to deal with moving the money from the business account to the personal account. You need to be doing those things and set those things up in the beginning, which means having a good bookkeeping system, which we, at some point, we'll go into more detail on that. But just, there's a lot of good options. We use QuickBooks. Just make sure that you're using something. And like we talked about in the last podcast, talk to somebody who can help you set that up so that you do it right from the first time. How do you find somebody? Talk to people you know. They're going to know bookkeepers, CPAs, offices that do that kind of stuff.
So I know you kind of touched on it, but what are your thoughts on incorporating an LLC, say, in other states? Because one of the big running political jokes about this election is that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton have the same address. And everyone's like, why do they have the same address? Well, it's because they both have corporate tax havens in Delaware. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of people are asking the question, especially to me, and our members are asking, should I set up my LLC in Wyoming, in Delaware, Nevada, New York, California? Is there a certain area that I, should set it up? Because another thing, too, is that you have a lot of individuals who may have international clients, which are easier to deal with in a Delaware-type corporation or a Nevada-style LLC. So what kind of recommendations or just info do you know on those types of alternatives? What would you do, Rob?
Number one, I would talk to a CPA who does this every day.
Oh.
And really dig into that question if I thought it was going to benefit me to register my company somewhere other than my home state. The reality is every company that we own, we've established in New Mexico. And as far as I'm concerned, a lot of that talk about using other states is adding complexity that isn't necessary. And that doesn't mean that it doesn't make sense for certain businesses. It probably does. But I think for most of the people listening to this that are setting up these businesses for their drone work, just incorporating in their state is probably going to be the simplest, easiest thing, and it's going to afford them ultimately more benefit than going to another state because of a lower tax rate or no tax rate or something like that. Again, every circumstance is different. You might find by talking to somebody that it benefits you to go to Wyoming or Delaware. But for me, keeping things simple, you can always move things if you need to. I mean, that's definitely possible. Then if you go to another state, you've got alien issues to deal with. The reality is also, no matter where you're...
It's a big problem here in New Mexico, too.
It is. Just ask the Roswellians. You're just going to be better off, in my opinion, keeping things simple, incorporating where you live, and crossing that other bridge down the road.
It's also one thing that I've been learning is because I had a business registered in another state for a while. One thing I'm learning is by doing that too, you can actually get taxed twice. So, and that's happened to me. So,
Yeah.
And it sucks, but it's the fact of life. So, I would say to those people who are trying to, get out of paying certain type of taxes, it's just not worth it. And again, you want to make it as simple as possible. You don't want to be paying tax in two different places for the same thing. So,
right. In your home state, they're going to get theirs.
oh yeah, either
right?
way.
And a lot of, even some of these states that don't have income taxes, state income taxes, they have really, really high fees to open a business there.
Mm-hmm.
So you might find that those are a wash. And so now you've gotten incorporated in a state that's not yours, and it's just more complexity than most of us need, I think.
Yeah. Now, there is one individual who I know has a Montana LLC because he purchases all of his vehicles and all of his equipment through the Montana LLC because there's no sales tax.
Okay.
So, and there's also no income tax or earned income tax. So, for him, it works out really well. But
you still got to register those vehicles, right? So if we did that, we have to bring them back here, pay the ad valorem tax for registering them in New Mexico.
No, so that's the thing is that he has, there is a company in Montana that registers his vehicles, that handles his insurance, the whole 9 yards. So,
All right.
like.
And what does all that cost him?
Well, it's $1,500 to set it up, just to set it up. And then it's $1,000 a month after that. So
then it's just, and again, most of the folks listening to this probably aren't in that boat.
No.
But it's something to think about. That's like we said.
His business is probably pulling in 7 to 8 figures yearly, and he's got a fleet of aircraft. So, like, for him, it makes sense.
So when you get to that level.
And I mean big aircraft. I'm not talking about drones here. So.
Yeah, right. Airplanes. So when you get to that level, yeah, then maybe you start looking at things like other states.
When you've got
when you're Donald Trump.
When you got a few G6s parked in the back parking lot.
There you go.
Probably time to think about incorporating in Montana.
Exactly.
Anyway, hey, Rob, thank you for answering that question.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate it. No, seriously.
Finally, we get to talk about this stuff.
Oh, it's awesome, man. It really is. Now, if you guys have a drone-related question, or maybe a business-related question, or maybe you're sitting in a bare field of dandelions, a cow comes up, and you're like, how do I hire someone? I don't know. It could hit you anywhere.
Anything can happen.
So if you have a question, go to askdroney.com. Luke, seriously, thank you for asking that question.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it.
And hopefully we answered it, Luke, because I think you're probably looking for some more detail there. It's really difficult to give a lot of detail without talking to somebody about their specific situation.
Definitely, I think so as well. Now, guys, don't forget, if you do have a question and you wear a costume and you have an accent, we're going to give you a free GPC mini SD card.
Well, we're going to do a
case.
drawing.
A drawing?
Right? Or does everybody that sends in a video like that with a question that gets played gets
I've got,
one?
I think, 6 cases left, so
All
maybe
right.
7. I gave one to Sammy.
Okay.
Because he deserved
well deserved.
one, so
he definitely deserves that.
He's only got 2 cards in there, but he'll get up. He'll get up to the.
So what do you want to say? 5? We got 5 cases to give away.
Sure.
So the first 5.
That's a lot of money given away. I'm just saying.
They better be good questions.
I want to see a damn pirate costume. Just gonna say it.
By the way, it has to be a good costume. It can't be like a Burger King hat and some
really
like
cheesy sunglasses.
those nose glasses with the mustache. That doesn't count.
And for all my wake surfing friends, none of the costumes that we wore during that bachelorette party 2 weeks ago would be acceptable.
Oh gosh, I don't want to see any of that. Please. I don't know what he's talking about. But I know nobody wants to see it.
Hold on. If I show you a picture, will you just show your reaction to the camera? Just one picture. Just one. I'm going to pull it up right now. I promise it won't take me very, very long at all. This is my friend Jesse Baba from Arizona. And where's a good one?
By the way, we're done with a question. We've had some folks that say they wish we'd just kind of be more to the point. Oh, my gosh. And that is recorded forever.
Oh man! All right, guys, that's gonna do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. If you found some of this information helpful or valuable, please leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you download podcasts. Also, if you want to share it with a friend, well, the more educated the community, the better it is for us all. So that would be greatly appreciated as well. That's going to do it for us today. My name is Paul.
I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Drone U.
We believe that videos, images, words, and sounds have the absolute power to inform, inspire, and entertain. We reject indecision, confusion, and vanity, for they work against the community. We are united under the virtues of safety and knowledge. We are a training community of learners and teachers who encourage and energize each other to achieve greatness. We are pilots, videographers, photographers, freelancers, business owners, enthusiasts, experts, and apprentices. We are creators. We are the Drone U.